The first time Maya saw the lights dance across the night sky, she thought she was dreaming. Living in the small mountain town of Cedar Ridge, she was used to spectacular stargazing, but this was different. The aurora-like ribbons shimmered in impossible colors, not just greens and purples, but hues she had no words for, colors that seemed to exist between the ones she knew. Maya stood on her back porch, wrapped in her grandmother's old quilt, and watched as the lights began to move with purpose, weaving themselves into intricate patterns. Her heart raced as she realized this was no natural phenomenon. The movements were too precise, too intentional. At first, only a handful of people in Cedar Ridge noticed. But within days, similar lights appeared over cities and remote locations across the globe. The world held its breath, wondering if this was first contact, an invasion, or something else entirely. News channels ran constant coverage, experts debated endlessly, and social media exploded with theories. But Maya felt something different when she watched the lights. There was no fear, no sense of threat. Instead, she experienced a profound sense of peace, as if the universe itself was reaching out to embrace humanity. On the seventh night, everything changed. Maya was at her job at the Cedar Ridge Observatory, where she worked as an assistant researcher. The sophisticated equipment there had been running non-stop, gathering data on the mysterious lights. She was logging readings when the patterns suddenly shifted, and a soft, melodic hum filled the air. The lights coalesced into a sphere that slowly descended to hover just above the observatory's main telescope. Maya's colleagues rushed to their instruments, but she felt drawn to step outside. As she approached the sphere, it pulsed gently, and she felt a presence in her mind, not invasive, but warm and welcoming. The message that followed wasn't in words, exactly, but in feelings and images that translated themselves into understanding. The visitors, for that's what they were, came from a civilization millions of years older than humanity's. They had been watching, waiting for the right moment to make contact. "We come not to change your path," the message conveyed, "but to share a truth we learned long ago. A truth that transformed our civilization and might help yours in this crucial moment of your development." Through the connection, Maya experienced a vision of their world's history. Like Earth, they had faced devastating conflicts, environmental challenges, and social divisions. But they had discovered something profound: consciousness itself was interconnected throughout the universe. Every thought, every action, rippled through the fabric of reality, affecting not just their own world but countless others. The visitors had learned to tap into this universal consciousness, to feel the connections between all living things. This discovery had led to a transformation of their society. War became impossible when you could literally feel the pain of your enemy. Environmental destruction ceased when you could sense the living essence of every ecosystem. Social barriers crumbled and you could experience the fundamental unity of all beings. As Maya absorbed this knowledge, tears streamed down her face. The message continued, showing her how this same potential existed within humanity. The lights that had appeared worldwide were not just a display, they were activating dormant capabilities in the human brain, gradually awakening our species to these deeper connections. Dr. Chen, the observatory's director, came running out with printouts in her hand. "Maya. The readings, they're showing massive increases in coherent brain wave patterns across the globe. It's like humanity is starting to synchronize, to resonate at the same frequency." Maya nodded, understanding now what was happening. The visitors weren't here to solve humanity's problems for us. Instead, they were giving us the tools to solve them ourselves, by helping us access our innate capacity for empathy and connection. Over the next few weeks, the effects became impossible to ignore. People reported experiencing spontaneous moments of profound empathy, feeling the emotions of those around them. Children seemed especially sensitive to these new abilities, naturally forming deep emotional bonds across cultural and linguistic barriers. The changes weren't always easy. Feeling the pain and fear of others could be overwhelming at first. But as people learned to manage these new sensitivities, something remarkable began to happen. Conflicts that had seemed intractable began to resolve themselves. When you could truly feel what others felt, compromise became natural. Understanding replaced judgment. Maya found herself at the center of these changes, as one of the first to receive the message. She worked with scientists and leaders worldwide, helping them understand what was happening. But more importantly, she worked with ordinary people, teaching them how to navigate their expanding awareness. The transformation wasn't instant, but it was unstoppable. In boardrooms, executives suddenly found themselves unable to make decisions that would harm communities or ecosystems. They could literally feel the consequences. In conflict zones, soldiers laid down their weapons, overwhelmed by their new awareness of their shared humanity. Climate action accelerated as people began to experience a visceral connection to the Earth's living systems. 1 year after the lights first appeared, Maya stood on the same porch where she'd first seen them. The visitors were departing now, their mission accomplished. The lights danced one last time across the sky, forming patterns of breathtaking beauty before fading away. But they left behind something far more valuable than their presence. They had awakened humanity to its own potential for connection and compassion. The world was changing, not through external intervention, but through the blossoming of capabilities that had always existed within us. Cedar Ridge had changed too. The small mountain town had become a center for studying and teaching these new abilities. People came from around the world to learn from those who, like Maya, had been among the first to receive the message. The observatory had expanded into a research center dedicated to understanding the science behind humanity's awakening consciousness. Maya's grandmother's quilt still kept her warm on cool mountain nights, but now it seemed to hold new meaning. Like the interconnected patches of fabric, humanity was learning to see itself as part of a greater whole. The old quilt had been passed down through generations, each person adding their own stories to its history. Now humanity was writing a new story together, one of unity and understanding. As she gazed at the stars, Maya reflected on how far they'd come, and how far they still had to go. The visitors hadn't solved all of humanity's problems, that wasn't their purpose. Instead, they had given us the tools to solve them ourselves, by helping us access our deepest capacity for empathy and connection. The changes continued to ripple outward. Education systems were reimagined to nurture these new abilities in children. Governance structures evolved to accommodate this new level of collective awareness. The economy began to transform as people naturally gravitated toward more cooperative and sustainable models. But perhaps the most profound changes were the smallest ones. Families found themselves growing closer, able to understand each other in ways they never had before. Neighborhoods became true communities, with people naturally looking out for one another. The lonely found connection, the lost found purpose, and the hurt found healing. Research at the observatory had shown that these changes were physically altering the human brain, creating new neural pathways that strengthened our capacity for empathy and connection. But more than that, they were changing the very way we understood ourselves and our place in the universe. Maya's work now focused on helping people integrate these changes into their daily lives. She taught them how to manage the sometimes overwhelming flow of emotions, how to maintain healthy boundaries while staying connected, and how to use their new awareness for positive change. The message from the stars had been simple but profound: we were never truly separate. The divisions we created, between nations, between peoples, between ourselves and nature, were illusions. Reality was connection, and in that connection lay the power to transform our world. As the sun set over the mountains, painting the sky in colors that reminded her of those first mysterious lights, Maya felt a deep sense of hope. The visitors had shown them a path, but it was humanity that was choosing to walk it. Every day brought new challenges, but also new discoveries, new connections, and new possibilities. The peace message from the stars hadn't been just about ending conflict, it had been about awakening to our true nature as interconnected beings in an interconnected universe. And in that awakening lay the seeds of not just peace, but of humanity's next great adventure. Maya smiled as she felt the familiar warmth of connection flowing through her, to her community, to the mountains around her, to the earth itself, and to the vast, star-filled universe beyond. The message had been received, and humanity would never be the same. The visitors had given them a gift beyond measure, the knowledge that we were never alone, that connection was our natural state, and that in that connection lay the power to create the future we dreamed of. It wasn't always easy, but it was always worth it. As night fell over Cedar Ridge, Maya could feel the pulse of awakened consciousness flowing through the town, the country, the world. The peace message from the stars had started them on this path, but where it led now was up to them. And for the first time in human history, they were truly walking it together.